Just a couple of notes on syllabus and assignments, readings, feedback and grading that wasn't covered in the course orientation first video. A couple of things. Some people have asked on the syllabus what ICT and CNH mean. So if you're looking at the syllabus gives you your weekly assignments, right? That's one of the sections in the syllabus. And there's readings, right? And most of the readings I have written out, and there's like links to it if it's online, or if it's in the e-reserves, you can search for it there. But ICT and C&H are shorthand for our two main textbooks, Introduction to Christian Theology, ICT, and Creation and Humanity, CH. So whenever you see those, it's usually just a chapter from one of those books or two chapters or whatever. That's what it's referring to. Next, the TTAs. So the Theological Textual Analyses, it's a series of 3 assignments, only 500 words each, but it's an opportunity for you to begin working towards your final paper throughout the course. In fact, you can use material that you generate for your TTAs in your final paper if you'd like. Perfectly happy for you to do that. The TTA is really, it's you locating basically 3 sources for your final paper early on in the quarter, assessing and evaluating them, and then you can use that material for your final paper. So, in order to understand how that works, let me just give you an outline of what your final paper will be like. If you check the syllabus, this information is there, but if you want to watch me tell you about it, here you go. So your final paper is really an opportunity for you to assess, either reaffirm, challenge, or open up questions about, and then come to some conclusions about a major doctrine, major belief in your tradition, your Christian tradition, that pertains to this course. So in our course, we talk about a lot of stuff, soteriology and creation and anthropology and theodicy and all that. You can check it out in the syllabus. You can see all the different things we talk about. You have to look at your own church community, your own theological tradition, and think about something major that you know that your church believes or practices that you would like to either learn more about and ultimately reaffirm and show this is right, this is why we do this, and it's a good thing, or maybe challenge, say that our tradition needs to rethink this. We need to get away from this. A lot of times people like to do, for example, pedo baptism, infant baptism, child baptism. That's a big one that students sometimes like, or atonement. Our church preaches only penal substitutionary atonement, and we should. That's a good thing, and here's why. And that's a problem, and here's why. That's your final paper. You're reaffirming or challenging and coming up to it with a constructive synthesis or reformulation of a major doctrine, major belief in your church community that we cover in this course. Now, as you're building up towards that, you're going to need at least, I think the minimum is like 8 academic sources. These are going to be books, journal articles, essays, and edited volumes that are from theological and biblical sources, writers who deal in theology, constructive systematic theology, and or some biblical studies that pertain to your final paper, right? So you've got to have 8 sources regardless. I need at least 8 footnotes. I think it might be 10. I can't remember. Look at the syllabus. The TTAs give you an opportunity to knock 3 of those off the list during the course of during the course of the course, right? So one of your TTAs has to be a book-length theological monograph. It has to be a book about whatever your final paper is, ideally. Doesn't have to be, but it will help you to do this. So you have to do a book, and you have to have, and then after that you can do 2 more books if you like, or you can do an essay from an edited volume and a journal article or 2 journal articles, but they have to be peer-reviewed, or the edited volume that you're drawing it from has to be from a reputable publisher. If you're not sure, check with me. I will help you with your sources. I know that's a challenge for students to locate good academic sources. I even have a document on in our course documents file, choosing good sources. Look at that file. It will help you decide whether or not the source you're looking at is good. If you still have questions, come talk to me and I'll help you. The TTA, the goal of the TTA is to sum up the major argument of the book. Like, what is at the graduate level, eventually you want to get to the point where you can just sum up a book in 1 sentence. That's the goal. In the TTA, you have more space for that. If you look in the syllabus, it gives you a better outline for what a TTA ought to look like. But you're basically summing up what the book's major argument is and how the book proves that. and then you are assessing and evaluating it, saying, here's why that is right, here's why that is wrong, here's why that's a little bit right and a little bit wrong. That's the TTA. And then you have an intro and a conclusion where you contextualize that. But that's it. If you do it well, you can actually copy and paste your TTA, not the whole thing, but a sizable chunk of it, into your final paper. You can just port it over, so that by the time you get to your working on your rough draft for your final paper, you've got a lot of the material there already, and so you can get and you can have a big head start. Okay. TTAs they're due. There's 3 of them. They're due, I think, sometime between like the 3rd and 7th weeks of the course, 2nd and 7th week, something like that. You turn them in on Sunday night at midnight. Monday morning, when I get to work, I'm going to be grading them. Okay. You're going to get feedback very quickly, within 24 hours, on your TTAs, unless you don't turn it in on time. And if you don't turn it in on time, I can't guarantee that I can give you the kind of feedback I want to, and the kind of feedback that really will be helpful for you. So it is in your best interest to turn in your papers on time. I mentioned, I think I mentioned in the last video, that I try not to ding you too much for late work. Here's the big ding. It's not the grade that gets hammered. You can turn stuff in over and over, and I'll work with you on that. Inch your grade up. I'm not here to give you bad grades. The real disadvantage to turning something in late, especially the TTA assignment, is that your turnaround time is slower, and I do not guarantee detailed feedback and comments on late work. I'll get it to you if I can, but I'm a working pastor. I also teach another course. I got a lot on my plate, and I can't always guarantee that I'm gonna get it to you, unless you turn it in on time. So if you turn in your TTA by 11:59 p.m. on Sunday night, you will have feedback the next day, and it'll be good. It'll be helpful. I promise you that. And it's going to give me a sense of where your project's going, and give me an opportunity to help shape your project and say, hey, maybe think about this or think about that. It's going to make your final essay better, which will make your final grade better. So everybody wins if you do a good job and turn it in on time. Okay? So that's the TTA. That's how it works with the final paper. If you have other questions about grading, check the course orientation video, or you can always email me, and I'll do my best to get back to you, and possibly maybe do another video for everyone if the question is if I'm getting it enough. So that's that, and